And I can't think of anybody I would rather have an AI LinkedIn chat with than my colleague Ursula. So, Ursula, thank you for joining today.
Thank you, Laura. Really, really nice to be here with you.
Excellent. So we've got a little bit of an experiment, so bear with us. Before we get into that, the reason that I wanted Ursula to join us today is because she's really leading the way with AI in our organization. And Ursula, I'd like to just ask you, does AI even have a place on LinkedIn? The reason that I want
Yes, I mean,
before we get into that, the
we
reason
we absolutely have to be using AI in an augmented way. This is definitely going to be part of our future, and it's no use us pushing it one side and not incorporating this incredible technology. But at the same time, I really think it's like the yin and yang. It's really pushing us to define more what is human and what is not. So, for example, if we look at the LinkedIn content, a lot of it is starting to look the same. And that's not actually what people want. They want to know your opinion. They want to know, what do you think about this topic? So while you use AI to maybe help you write the post, maybe in a better way than you could say it yourself, but still let the ideas come from you. So that's why I really see AI as helping us to define even more what it is to be human, and don't become a robot. You have, use rather what your opinion is. Just be more human.
That's really interesting because I read this book called The AI Edge by Jeb Blount, and it was saying exactly the same thing about salespeople. It was saying use AI so that you can put the human into your golden hours of sales prospecting. So I think that we're really at this early stage, aren't we? And at the very early stage, I think that people are looking to AI, and the first thing they think of is writing content because it's generating text in front of your very eyes. But this is just the start of it, isn't it?
Yeah, and we are right at the start, and therefore it's so exciting because imagine if you could go right back to the beginning when the internet came out. I mean, what would you tell yourself then if you knew what you knew now? But
Yeah.
think about that, you are at that point now. So at I mean, I don't know. One of the things I would tell myself at that time is experiment more, like dig in, like learn more, try different tools, try different things. And that's really where we are now with AI, and all of these amazing tools. It just blows my mind that it's accessible to us all.
Yeah, and I'm really smiling because we were really experimenting with Notebook LM. I don't know whether anybody's tried Notebook LM yet, but this is the basis of today's little test, and we're putting ourselves out there a little bit. You might have noticed just at the beginning of the live that both of our phones kicked off because we're doing something that we've never done before, which is let me just roll back a sec. So I've been doing these LinkedIn lives for about a year now. They were terrifying in the beginning. I've changed things up as we've gone. Now I have wonderful guests coming on with me, which is great. And I wanted to. Sometimes it feels a little bit like you've got a very jilted two-way conversation happening because you've got people putting their comments on the event, and there might be a bit of a delay. We're here in the StreamYard studio, and the comments come through, but you can't guarantee, you don't know who's going to be there. So at some point, you might put somebody's message onto the screen like this. So we've got, thank you, Sarah, just trying Notebook LM, but it's not really a two-way conversation. And very often we're presenting the content that we've pre-prepared anyway. So I thought, why not pre-prepare the content and then use AI so that we are free to actually get into the comments and be having two-way conversations in the comments, text conversations in the comments. So this is another reason why I wanted Ursula with me today, because she's going to get in the comments. I'm going to get in the comments, and I created a newsletter that came out on Monday. It's got some of our latest thinking on AI on LinkedIn. And I took Notebook LM. It transformed my newsletter into a podcast. Then we used Canva to create these guys who are going to take over from here. Ursula and I will stay on like thumbnails, so you'll be able to see us on our phones making the comments, and then we'll come back on once they have presented the content. So do listen to the AI robots. It's all our content. And please ask your questions as it goes, or just your comments on what the experience is like. So over to these guys. Should we go for it?
Go for it.
Okay.
You ready to like really dive into some super effective AI strategies for LinkedIn? We're going deep with Laura Hannon.
Oh, yeah.
A total LinkedIn expert. She's got some pretty amazing tactics based on conversations with another expert, Ursula Van Graan.
Okay.
All this is from an article called 10 Ways to Use AI with LinkedIn.
I love that she really emphasizes being intentional with AI in this article. It's not about just using like the newest tools just because they're new. It's about understanding like why and how each one can help you reach your goals on LinkedIn.
Exactly. Strategy is key.
Yes.
So she starts off by having us think about how AI sees us. Like, have you ever thought about what an AI would show about you
Yeah.
if someone searched your name?
Oh, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
Hannon recommends using Perplexity, a search engine, for this. Perplexity is great because it actually shows you the sources it's using to put together that AI summary of you. So then you can see, are there any gaps? You know, is there anything that's not quite right? Then you can take control and align it with your professional goals.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
It's like a mirror,
Yes.
but the mirror is AI.
Exactly.
That's wild. And, you know, if it's not quite right, then you can tweak your profile and the things you share and all of that.
Exactly. And, you know, with all this talk about AI content creation these days,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that Hannon doesn't say AI should write everything for us.
Right.
You know, it should just add to what we can create, not replace it.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting because she is definitely not anti-AI, but she's like, use it as a tool to help make things better.
Exactly. She uses the example of writing this article.
Oh, interesting.
She already had ideas about AI and LinkedIn, but she used AI to kind of expand on those ideas and even come up with a concise summary of the article, which is so helpful, especially for busy professionals.
Oh, I love those summaries.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of thinking, she has this funny way of describing her own thought process.
Uh-huh.
She calls it spaghetti-like thinking.
I love that.
Yeah.
Such a great visual. And she even includes a GIF of spaghetti in the article. What she's saying is that sometimes our thoughts can get jumbled,
Right.
especially when we're dealing with complex topics. AI can be that tool to help us untangle our thoughts so we communicate more clearly.
I think we've all had those moments where we're like, I can't get this idea out.
Exactly. AI can help us find those spots where our writing might be unclear, or maybe our arguments aren't that strong, and help make sure our message is clear and has impact.
Perfect. So we've talked about how AI can help us look at how we show up online
Yes.
and refine our thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about something that can really boost how far your content goes. Content repurposing.
Oh, Hannon's a big fan of this. It's all about taking your content and presenting it in different ways to reach more people.
It's a content multiplier.
Yes.
Instead of just creating one thing, you're making blog posts and infographics and podcasts,
Exactly.
social media snippets.
And, you know, Hannon shows us how she uses AI to repurpose this very article. She walks us through each step as she breaks it down and creates different content for different platforms.
Now, if you're like spending tons of time on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
especially for sales,
Right.
Hannah's got some great tips on using AI in Sales Navigator. But first, let's talk about the basics. Building and managing lists.
Lists are so important. They're like the building blocks of being effective at finding new prospects on LinkedIn. You can really target who you're talking to.
Exactly. And AI can actually help build those lists to make sure you're talking to the right people with the right message. Now, Hannon loves Sales Navigator, but she's clear. It's only worth it if you're really going to use it and spend a good chunk of your time on the platform.
Totally. No point in having a fancy tool if you're not going to use it.
Right.
So assuming you are using Sales Navigator, Hannon highlights some powerful features like Account IQ and Relationship Explorer. They've gotten some big upgrades, especially for advanced users.
These features are like having a cheat code for unlocking insights and making your connection stronger. Like Relationship Explorer can help you find the people in your target companies who you have the most mutual connections with. Those second-degree connections.
Exactly. Second-degree connections are people who are connected to someone you're already connected to.
Right.
And Hannon's research shows that reaching out to those second-degree connections means you're way more likely to connect with them than if you were reaching out to third-degree connections.
It makes sense because
Yeah.
you're using those warm intros, right?
Exactly.
To build trust.
It's a really smart way to network on LinkedIn. You're using existing connections to open doors and build real relationships. Speaking of building relationships, Hannon introduces us to a cool tool called Behavely.ai.
I love that name.
Uh-huh.
This tool is all about personalization,
Yes.
which is super important these days.
Behavely.ai looks at LinkedIn profiles to help you change how you communicate for bigger impact. It's really specific, too. Like, it might suggest not being vague with a certain prospect,
Okay.
or matching how energetic they are to build rapport, or focusing on problem solving to show how useful you can be.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I also love that it gives you insights into who's interacting most with your prospects' posts.
Okay.
That's so smart. Imagine connecting with those people who are already commenting on your prospects' content. It's a subtle but powerful way to increase the chances of your content showing up in their feed and catching their eye.
Strategic visibility.
Exactly.
Now, before we move on to some even more advanced AI for LinkedIn,
Okay.
let's talk about ethics for a second.
Yeah, that's important.
Because these AI tools can give us so much information.
Right.
We have to be careful to use them responsibly.
Yes, we don't want to seem like we're trying to manipulate people or be fake. We're trying to find that balance between personalization and respect.
Right. Makes sense.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about how AI can help us understand our target accounts better. Hannon is a big fan of Sales Navigator's Account IQ feature for this.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
It saves so much time.
Yeah.
Instead of spending hours on company websites and reading articles, AI can show us the important insights.
Like having a research assistant who's super fast.
Exactly. Hannon also points out that Sales Navigator has something really useful: headcount insights.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this data can tell you a lot about a company's priorities and where they might be growing.
So we can see what they're focusing on.
Right. In her article, she gives this example of how a big jump in headcount for a company's sales and marketing team
Uh-huh.
might mean they're really trying to make more money and get bigger.
Like getting a sneak peek at their plans.
Exactly. And by watching these headcount trends,
Yeah.
you can get ahead of their needs and make your outreach more relevant.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. She gives another example, like a fast increase in headcount in a specific department,
Mhm.
maybe military and protective services.
Okay.
This could mean they're putting more money into security. Right. These are the kinds of things that can give you an advantage when you're talking to potential clients.
Right.
It shows you're paying attention and that you get what they need.
Make you look good.
Okay, so get this. Hannon talks about using AI as a content critic.
Whoa, what?
I know. She actually took a draft of her article along with those Behavely.ai suggestions and gave them to ChatGPT.
No way?
Yeah, and the feedback ChatGPT gave was amazing.
Like what kind of feedback?
It pointed out places where she could make her writing simpler, make the benefits clearer,
Okay.
and even keep those human touches we talked about.
Oh, wow. Like an AI editor.
Exactly. Okay, so we've covered a lot, from how we show up online to repurposing content to better ways to find prospects. What do you think is the main point of all this?
That's a good question. I think Hannon is saying AI should help us have more real conversations with people.
I agree.
Like using technology to do the boring tasks and find hidden information so we have more time to connect.
I like that.
She even mentions a book called AI for Sales by Jeb Blount and Anthony Iannarino.
Right.
It's all about using AI to make the most of those golden hours for sales.
Those times when we can focus on building relationships and really helping people.
Exactly. And that brings us to Hannon's last point, standing out by trying new things with AI. She's not afraid to experiment and see what AI can do on LinkedIn.
She's a real trailblazer.
So she talks about using AI to make a LinkedIn-friendly video with animation and a voiceover.
Yeah.
But what really caught my eye was her idea for an AI-powered podcast that talks to viewers during a LinkedIn Live.
Okay, yeah. Tell me more about that.
I know, it sounds crazy.
Yeah.
So imagine this. Hannon starts a LinkedIn Live.
Okay.
It introduces the topic, and then lets an AI podcast take over the discussion.
Oh, wow.
While that's happening, she and Ursula can chat with viewers in the comments.
That is brilliant. It's like a podcast and a live event all in one.
Exactly. It shows how AI can make things better, not replace us.
Right. It's all about using AI for connection.
Okay, so before we finish up, I want to mention something Hannon says in her article about using these AI strategies effectively.
Okay.
It's a good reminder that adding AI to your LinkedIn strategy is a process, you know?
Yeah, it's a journey.
You start simple and then try the more advanced stuff later.
Right. Start with the basics.
And it's important to be flexible.
Definitely.
Keep track of how your AI strategies are doing, change things as needed,
Mhm.
and always listen to feedback.
So true. That's how you stay ahead of the game with AI and social media.
So as we wrap up our deep dive, what has stood out to you the most? Is there one AI tactic you'd like to try this week?
You know, I'm really interested in trying Hannon's suggestion of connecting with those super engaged people on my target accounts posts.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a small change, but I can see how it could really help my networking.
Totally. It's those little things that can make a big difference.
Exactly.
Well, we've talked about a lot today, but before we go, we'll leave you with some final thoughts on AI and LinkedIn. We've covered so much, all these cool ways to use AI on LinkedIn, like from figuring out our brand to sales prospecting. But I think we need to zoom out for a second
Yeah,
and think about what all of this really means.
I agree. AI is becoming more and more a part of our work lives, right?
Yeah.
It's going to change how we connect with people on platforms like LinkedIn.
It really makes you think, what's the future of networking going to be? We're already seeing AI changing how we find information,
Uh-huh.
create content,
Mm-hmm.
even how we talk to each other.
It brings up all and how much is automation.
Right.
Will AI help us build better relationships because we'll have more time for those real conversations?
How will make networking more, transactional,
Yeah.
less personal?
It's tricky, right? We have to be careful and really think about it as AI keeps getting more advanced.
Hannon has given us a lot to think about. AI can definitely be a powerful tool for making our LinkedIn better. From, understanding our online story to repurposing content in smart ways and finding prospects more effectively.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much we can experiment with to level up our LinkedIn game. Right.
It's really inspiring to see how Hannon uses AI, not just to be more efficient, but to be more creative.
Okay.
She's always trying new things and finding ways to use AI to connect better and be more engaging.
And she reminds us that AI is meant to help us be better humans,
Yes,
not replace us.
exactly.
So as you're on LinkedIn, I want you to think about this.
Yeah.
How will you use AI to show your true self
Mm-hmm.
and build real connections in this crazy digital world?
Great question.
That's it for our deep dive into AI and LinkedIn.
Thank you very much.
That was
Thank
a big question there at the end. How
was.
can you be more significant?
Yeah, I'm really pleased with how that went. I don't know how you felt, but I really enjoyed being in the comments.
Yes, it was like having this great, exciting back and forth, and really feeling like you're connecting with people.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sarah. Sarah says, well done, ladies. We actually wanted to have two women speaking on Notebook LM, like our avatars, but they didn't give us the option. They also didn't give us the option for British or South African English. So we have American English. But it said it's early days. And I just think, how incredible is it that all of the ideas that we've had, all the things that we've discussed, getting that down into a newsletter and being able to repurpose it into that kind of format without it, having to recreate it from scratch, without having to use what you were saying before, like the tool.
Well, yeah, Laura, I mean, you must understand my background in videos. I've used the whole Adobe package, and deep in Photoshop, deep in Premiere, Final Cut when that was around. And So for me to see you create this so quickly and so effectively just blew my mind, because I know if you were to create that from scratch, and the training, the tools that you'd need, the sound, the software, and that's what's so exciting about this new age we're in. It's just making creativity like explode. Like anything that you think of really is possible.
Well, I think we'll end on that note. Ursula, thank you for joining us. We're going to play the outro now. Yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody in the comments. It was so much fun. And we will see you next time. Let me get the outro ready. There we go. Bye-bye.